So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are just a bit late. So let's start. Let's be efficient. Let's start with this session. It's a session about public warning solutions. I am Laurent Arzel. I will just check the time and manage the questions. And that's it. So let's not waste any more time. And we will start with my dear friend Amélie Grangeat from F24.
So, thank you everyone, thank you for being here. As Laurent wanted to be super efficient, he hasn't taken the time to introduce myself, so I'll do it. I'm Amélie Grangeat, nice to meet you. I've done a PhD in crisis management where I had the chance to work for the Paris Fire Brigade. And now I'm specialized in everything which is linked to public warning system. So the idea of this morning is to talk about what is an efficient public warning system. And because it's an industry session, I'm going to start with presenting F24. So who is F24? So we are leader in everything which is linked to crisis management software, everything which is mass notification, emergency notification, as well as business messaging. What does it mean? We have 30 locations worldwide, of which 9 in Europe, so we are really a European company. Just to give you an idea on the size of F24, we have sent more than 35 million of notification per year. We have 30,000 customers. A lot of them are governments, public agencies, emergency services. And we do propose also our crisis management software to customers which are private customers. We provide this crisis management software for half of the stocks Europe 50 companies. We have 20 years of experience. It just tells you a little bit how we love working in crisis management. And to give you an idea of how many customers, of which kind of customer do we work with, we really cover everything, every aspect of the industry. So automobile, transport, aviation, energy, especially IT and telecommunication. We know that they are critical infrastructure, and public organization. So for public organization, we provide, for instance, the public warning system of Belgium, but we also provide the full crisis and incident management software for Norway, where everyone is working with our system. So of course, we are used to work with critical infrastructure with high availability standard and high security standard. So that was it for F24 in itself. So let's talk about why we work and why we are all here for talking about crisis management. The idea of crisis management is, of course, to save lives and value. And that's the most important things to think when we talk about technology. It's not a technology for a technology, it's a technology for a purpose. As I love talking about crisis management, I'm going to start with what is a crisis management and the huge importance of having it within a holistic approach. When we talk about crisis management, it actually starts with risk management. What are your risks? Have you identified them? Do you have made any analysis about that? If you have made analysis, can you mitigate the risk? What can you do as a prevention actions? And that's really the first step that you must include within your crisis management approach. The second step, is really the planning. When we plan, it's good to know what is going to happen, but it's even better to know what will you do when this will happen. So it's the planning which is super important. And it's good to have theoretical procedure, but then you need to have the third step, which is apply it. Because even if you know what is going to happen, which kind of risk you are exposed to, then you know in theory what you are supposed to do. If you don't apply it, if you don't train yourself, if you don't practice, you may totally freeze in front of the event, and you may totally say, I know there's a procedure somewhere, but I don't remember which one. So it's super important to train and to practice this procedure. So when we talk about emergency, when we talk about crisis, it's really important to have the 3 steps before. Then we have the incident, of course. The incident can be anything, planned or unplanned, but everything you have planned before can help you with that, you can be sure of it. And then there's several steps. Of course, you need to alert and notify the people you are working with to ensure that everyone gets the same level of understanding and knows what to do. But you need also to warn the population when their life is at risk. So I'm going to focus in the next slide on this small aspect, which is the alert to the population. But please keep in mind that it's only one piece of the crisis management process. So alerting and notifying, it's good, but also managing the incidents, having all the checklists of who is supposed to do what inside this crisis management, make sure that everything is reported to the board so that everyone has a good understanding of the situation. And now that the crisis is managed, you must take into account the recovery and normalization, and most important, the feedback phase, meaning you have done everything to manage the crisis. The system has notified you everything you have done, and now feedback time. And then you go back to the first step, which is the prevention, the risk monitoring, and the planning. What were your mistakes during your during your crisis management, and you integrate it inside the first thing. So that's actually the full cycle to keep in mind when we talk about crisis. It must be an holistic approach. And here we are talking only about the alerting and notification phase. So, emergency and notification. We distinguish here the notification of all your employees. For instance, if you are a critical infrastructure and you have thousands of employees in different sites, that's called internal notification, emergency notification, on which you must notify all your crisis management team immediately. You must have everything about their localization, how should they behave as a function of their roles. And it's super important to have also the real-time monitoring, because it tells you who is aware of what, and if you have certain employees at risk, they are your priority. So that's emergency notification. Then you have crisis and incident management, and here what is really important is that everyone gets his own task list and complete it online so that we can all follow where we are at the management part. An audit-proof documentation is also super important. I've talked to you about the phase where you need to do the feedback after the crisis, and this will be used thanks to the audit-proof documentation. And then the public warning. As I told you, it's only one piece of your crisis management process. It's really when the life of people are at risk. And here, what is important for European member states is to be compliant with the Article 110. So it must be scalable. What does it mean scalable? Because when we have crisis, it can start small and becomes big after. But everyone needs to know who has been, which kind of message has been sent to whom in the population to ensure a coherency between people. It must be flexible in the meaning of multi-channel. For instance, we all talk about the mobile network operators, but I was yesterday in the metro of Marseille. There were no phone coverage. So you need to think about something else that mobile network operators and multi-channel approach is really the key on that. It must be about mass alerting and not just a channel, because everyone knows how to send mails, but not everyone knows how to send mails in mass, because you have problems of spams, you have problems with providers, we have problems. Every time there's mass, it's a specialty. And then, of course, your system must be modular, because we all live in a world where every one of us has already software. So it's super important that the system that we provide you just comply with what you have already and adapt to what you have already. So it means having API or using international standards like the Common Alerting Protocol. So public warning system in itself. You all know about, if you are here, you all know about the European Electronic Communication Code. The question is what you do behind. So for 2022, we must be able to warn every handset located in an area without prior subscription. This means cell broadcast and location-based SMS, because you all know here that as crisis manager, cell broadcast got huge advantage, but location-based SMS as well, and they are complementary. So some countries have already chosen both technology to ensure this crisis management need. But the multi-channel is the key for an efficient public warning system. And for instance, this 2 weeks ago, we have just plugged every shopping boards inside a shopping mall to the system, just to make sure that if you don't have mobile network coverage while you are shopping or while you are in the metro, you can still have access to the public warning. So it's stupid, but it just means that when we push an alert to the population, you have all the public boards like that, which shows the alert, and it's an additional channel which helps to the efficiency. We are also super proud in F24 to be part of the Stellar project, which is the official emergency warning services demonstrator via Galileo. So this part, the idea general of Galileo and of this Stellar project is to show that we can embed within the signal, the satellite signal, the alerts. Meaning, if we are, the huge advantage of the satellite is when mobile network operators could have some damages. For instance, in the case of earthquake, when you have some antennas down, you still have the access to the satellites. So the idea of this project is to make, so it's funded by the European Commission, is to make first demonstration in different member states where authorities can send from the same platform, so to mobile network operators, to shopping malls boards, but also to satellite, so that people within the area received, if their phone is compliant with the Galileo signal, receive the alert and see that on their phone. So the idea of the satellite is that it's super precise, but it has also constraints. So the idea of this project is to explain the constraints and to make the demonstration towards all authorities willing to participate. And we are in this project with Telespazio, which is the leader, the CNES, which is the Center of National Study for Space in France, so F24, EENA, and Thales in Alenia Space. So the idea is really to be a multi-channel platform, to be super efficient to cover every situation. And so we are super proud to be part of this Stellar project. The Stellar project has started yesterday and will be end in 2023. So Stellar is a little bit the future. Let's talk about the present and the usage of, for instance, our solution within the flood of this summer 2021. So we were discussing about public warning system. It's just a public warning system is not only something that you use when you need to evacuate, when it's too late. It's really the lifeline of citizens, which means that you need to consider warning the population well before. Please be aware, so sending vigilance message, like please be aware of the flood situation. Sending them a message to prepare. So please prepare yourself to evacuate, gather all your stuff, and then only send the evacuation order. So that's why in this situation we have sent so many location-based SMS in this case. But what is the most important is that it has been sent by local communities. So meaning every messages were different as a function of the localization. And so we have sent both alerts campaign and information campaigns before. And also information about when the situation is safe and when you can come back home. And this is super important. So this is for real crisis, but as I told you in the holistic approach, we need also to think about the risk culture, to be trained to practice our use of public warning system. And for instance, this month as well, at the start of this month, we had the Brussels Prevention and Crisis Center of Brussels, which has sent more than 1 million SMS, not themselves, but a lot of communities under their responsibilities, just to train the population and to be used to receive such kind of messages and to be ready to react correctly when this happens. So risk culture is also a part of how you should use a public warning system. So what do we propose? We do propose an emergency alert system, which is powerful, as you have seen, with a strong rights management, because we have so many actors in crisis, right? It's not crisis management, it's not only the federal or the national crisis center. You have really a lot of actors who has different rights. So it's super important to define this rights management, a mechanism of approval, maybe, if you need, to be able to be scalable, as I've explained, to define geographical delimitation of your rights. Maybe you are, I don't know, the director of a nuclear facility, and you have only the right to warn the population around this nuclear facility, so that's a geographical right. To plan everything related to the alerts, and of course, to plan everything and to trigger that automatically. This is the first part. But as I told you, a public warning system is efficient only when it's a multi-channel, so you need to have a gateway which connects your emergency alert system to the different operators, not only the mobile network operators, but also the sirens, but also the satellite and everything. So it's a process in itself to establish this connection, so that's what we propose each time, a tailor-made approach. And it's not only a software, it's also a service. Because of course it's important that this kind of that you don't adapt to the software, but that the software adapts to you, and that's why we have a strong setting phase with different proposition of hosting and a 24/7 user hotline. I insist on that because the crisis always happen the Friday night or during the weekend, and certainly not during the working days in the middle of the day. So, and a strong expertise for accompanying you. So if you want a demonstration, just reach me after this, and I will be happy to take all your questions. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Amélie. Is there any questions for Amélie? No? Well, we're super on time. Still, I have one. I'm just curious. So we're all keep repeating that it's important to have a multiple channel approach. In this case, well, is it, well, for the existing system and for the future systems, is it important in this approach to have the exact same message through all the channels or not?
It's important to have a coherency between all the messages that you send, but every channel has their own constraints. So for instance, satellite will have a predefined list of instructions that you can't personalize, while when you are talking about location-based SMS, it's a free text, so you can adapt it. When we are talking about public boards, if they have specific constraints, you must include it. And of course, it's if you want to trigger a siren in the same time than a satellite, or you won't push, well, either your siren is able to have an audio message and then the message will be adapted. Either it's just trigger the sirens and then of course the message is different.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your attention.
And now I'm happy to welcome Pablo Gomez from Genesis.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. So, hello everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. Me, it's Pablo Gomez. I'm from Genesis. And I would like to talk to you about the importance of integrated and multi-channel public warning and mass notification systems. Okay, so it is. So first, let me very briefly introduce the company. Okay, we are commercial track today, but I promise to be brief. So as Genesis, we call ourselves the critical communications company, and this is because it's what we do, let's say. We are 100% public warning and mass notification. We are specialists in that. We have been doing this for a while. It says 20 years, but I have to say, that times go by very quickly. So at this moment, it's much more than that, for the good and for the bad. So, however, we've been doing for all these years, and in many places around the world, covering many different use cases, many different circumstances. You can imagine. It's nothing to do the national case in one part of the world to the regional local case in other parts of the world, even when you go to help private companies with mass notification. Nothing to do in that. So we are quite flexible in that sense, and on the other hand, we have quite an experience of being doing this for so long time, in many different environments, from military, defense, law enforcement, emergency managers, crisis managers, network operators, even mobile network operators, or companies, private companies. Okay. Our main value is our platform, the Genesis platform, which is the only one really unifying what we call software and hardware. Okay. When we talk about software, we will talk about a range of different ways to reach people, from mobile phones to computers to, I don't know, any way that can be integrated through our software integration. And when we talk about hardware, we are referring to long-range acoustic devices, let's say, speakers, transmitting voice to very long distances with great clarity of voice, so you have the guarantee that people is understanding what you are communicating through the air. So this platform is done, is engineered, is developed, is evolved, is supported by the Spanish team. So this is a European platform, European software, and is fully compliant with the Article 1110. Oh, sorry. So I was talking about experience. So we have many references. I was telling before, more than 100 countries. In particular, all systems we have for different countries like Australia, a system we are deploying now in Slovenia. We have critical systems in Spain too, for interior. Systems for public warning in case of tsunamis in Japan. The system we have in Puerto Rico, also mainly for tsunamis and weather alerts. But we also have both experience in defense, military and defense, so those are quite critical things. But apart from that, a range of different cases in other local or regional environments. And as an actor of this market, and we are quite proactive, so we are present in many associations and forums like this, like EENA. We are very happy to be here. And by the way, thank you so much, EENA people, for the organization of this conference. So anyway, we talk about public warning, and we are here in Europe. You need to talk a little bit about the Article 110, which is the regulation we already have in Europe. It says that it's mandatory to have a public warning system based on mobile phones in all the countries of the Union. So this, at the end of the day, we are talking about a couple of different technologies that are fulfilling the Article 110. Sorry. We are talking about location-based SMSs, let's say, just geolocating all devices in the network, in the mobile network, in order to start sending quickly, very quickly indeed, short messages to every device. Or cell broadcasting is just the way of broadcast messages in the antennas covering an emergency area. The main difference between both is, the first one you have more control, you have more information about what is happening in terms of, you are geolocating all subscribers in the network, you can have information about how many devices are in the area, or even how they are moving after you call, for instance, for evacuation. But with cell broadcasting, you have the advantage that it's extremely quick and it's extremely effective. So in the cases you have to send an alert to a very big city or even a national alert, cell broadcasting is what you need to do very efficiently and very, very quick. And the hybrid model is combining both of them. But the point is, after working in so many places, is that, okay, is the article 110 enough? Or let's say, because at the end of the day, this is just, okay, we are living in a complex world, you know, but probably even much better than me. Every year we have more and more crises, more and more different events emergency managers need to face. I don't know, we had the volcano in Spain. You know, it was incredible, but we have other many cases which were even unexpected, you know. So the emergency managers must face all those factors and things they need to consider. So we really need that. We really think that it's important to go behind the Article 110, you know. It's important to keep in mind all those factors to approach the public warning, considering that you need systems to cover very different kind of events, but you also need to have those systems totally fully integrated in your, let's say, operative. And we're talking about operative, we refer, okay, we are the people of the technology, you know, but we know that you also, it's not only a matter of integrating technology, but integrating the public warning in your processes, in your daily basic operative, okay? And finally, you need to keep in mind that, okay, you can have those self-broadcasting or SMS, but you need to keep in mind you need to reach everybody every time or in any kind of circumstance. You need to maximize attention rate. So this is a matter of putting together how many people you are reaching, penetration of those people, who is aware of the message, who is understanding the message. You need to maximize that. And finally, you need to get the attention to the people taking the action. You are, as emergency responsible, as emergency manager, you are calling to. So, this is the answer by Genesis to fulfill all those factors and needs. It's our fully integrated warning and evacuation system. It's a modular end-to-end system, so it covers the whole value chain in the public warning business, let's say, from all needs you will be having in a command and control room to all those systems to be deployed, for instance, within mobile network operators to support self-broadcasting and location-based SMSs, but also supporting a range of different things, different ways to communicate. It's fully multi-channel, and it's important, I want to talk a little bit about that, to have it fully integrated in your operative. And talking about integration and going beyond the regulation, it's also very interesting to combine all that information you have in the system to help you when you need to coordinate evacuations, when you are facing certain events, okay? So, starting about multi-channel. Okay, of course, we support end-to-end, as I said before, self-broadcasting and location-based SMSs, but you also can have modularly very different possibilities like those. In particular, it's very important to integrate, to fully support the Common Alerting Protocol, the CAP protocol, in order to be able to integrate other communication systems you could be already having in the country. And having, with that, you also have the possibility to evolve the system anytime in the future. So you can combine the CAP protocol, let's say, with the modularity of the platform. You can start just with a small pack of communication possibilities. So you can very easily to evolve the system anytime in the future to have more and more and more functionality. In particular, we are very proud about one of the communication channels we are offering, which is the integration of silence or acoustic devices. Okay, everybody is talking about silence. Silence is just a one-tone thing, let's say P, 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 P. But what is really interesting, and now is technically possible, is to go to the voice communication, let's say. And it's a very interesting thing because you can combine many things, you know, and you can deploy self-broadcasting or hybrid model with LBSMS. But imagine the case you have an emergency, as Amélie said before, emergencies are always in the worst moment. So you could be having an emergency at night. Mobile phones are switched off. Television is switched off. Radio is switched off. People is sleeping. How you get the attention of the people? You can use acoustic devices, for instance. And in particular, okay, we are able to integrate what you have. If you already have silence or other acoustic devices, but in particular, we are very proud about our technology because we offer the let's say, clear voice, the highest standard in clarity of voice of the market. So we can offer you the guarantee that people is totally understanding your voice message, even 1 kilometer from the speaker. So this is very interesting capability, okay? And you can have all those devices totally autonomous, you know, with the satellite connection, the solar power and batteries. They are going to be accessible and ready for you even under the worst conditions when the, you know, communication networks are down and electricity is also down, okay? Okay, so let's go to the integration of the system. First, speaking about interfaces. It's let's say the first part of how you can integrate the public warning in your day-to-day operations. Okay, you have multiple options. You can, okay, of course, the basic one. You can access the web interface. Our functionality is there for sure. But we also offer a command and control mobile application. And this is very interesting because it makes possible to you to communicate to the people, activate communications when you are in the field. Some kind of emergencies, you need to have information, the real information in the field in order to have a real accurate knowledge of what's happening. So this is the way you can very quickly and very efficiently start a communication to population in those kind of situations. And finally, okay, we also offer an interface, an API. So we understand that we are, as I said before, the mass notification guys. So this is another piece of the systems you have in the command and control center. There is no sense you need to move from different screens to do different things. So you can integrate the functionality in the interfaces you already have very, very easily. Also, from the moment we are deploying a system that is combining so interesting information, imagine, for instance, when you deploy LBSMS, you have that information about how many people are in different areas. This is very interesting for emergency managers, you know? So it's also interesting to put more information on top of that. We offer you the possibility of adding as many sources of information you could be having, from the integration of other early warning systems, weather information, information from devices or sensors in the field. I don't know, for instance, earthquake detection, tsunami detection. We have systems in Asia detecting movements of terrain, let's say. So we get that information, we put in the same system and interfaces for you. So on one hand, you are helping you in the decision making for public warning, let's say, before starting a communication, but also it's important for you for decisions in terms of emergency management. And finally, you can get that information in our platform and define automatic communications. Imagine, I don't know, you can define the inputs from some sensors and configure automatic communications to certain groups of people or for the public to cover those emergencies or particular events automatically. And finally, the integration of the evacuation support, okay? And it's more or less in the same, let's say, direction I told before, combining that information. You have that interesting information, why not to use that information to help you in the coordination of evacuation when you need them. So we offer that functionality too, integrated in the platform. What we offer is to have all that information in one place, also together to the information of your evacuation plans, offering a unique point everybody can just watch on real time and know the whole procedure for evacuation and know what to do, including population. You can share this information to population through the platform. So this is all from me. Thank you so much. Please, if you have any questions, feel free.
Just wait for the microphone. It's arriving.
How do you interconnect your speaker solutions to other public warning solutions? Through CAP or?
Okay. CAP is the base, and from the point of the perspective, is the most common interface. Is the is our preferred option to integrate other speaker solution or to integrate our speakers in other solution systems. So from that moment, let's say our speakers are talking about particular technology or IP-based, so we can reach them through the CAP protocol through very different communication ways, from satellite or GSM, let's say LTE network or optic fiber, many different ways to reach the speaker in the final connectivity side. Thank you.
Well, I think we can just proceed with the.
I promise you.
session. Yeah.
I was going to respect the time.
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks.
So, thank you so much.
Thank you, Pablo. And we have our last presentation in this session. So happy to welcome Mathieu and Charlotte from Intersec. You will be the three of you presenting?
I start.
First, okay. And then Romain Moutard from the French Ministry of Interior.
Thank you. Thank you, Laurent, for the introduction. So hello, everyone. I'm Mathieu Lafforgue, Product Marketing Manager at Intersec. I'm very pleased to be here for this last session of public warning session of industry this morning. We'll have the pleasure to share the stage with my colleague Charlotte Thomas from Intersec, our guest speaker, Romain Moutard from the French Ministry of Interior. So it will be good for you. It will be more dynamic and will not listen to me too much time. So let's start. We'll talk about public warning for national and local authorities. But as a start, we are really pleased at Intersec to be diamond sponsor of the EENA organization conference this year in Marseille. EENA is always the same professional event, really well organized with really interesting session and a good fair. So thanks to all the team for that. As Intersec, to present really briefly, we are a software editor specialized in public safety and solution for mobile and communication service providers, ranging from analytics, platform approach for monetization. And so in the field of public safety, we are doing a public warning system solution for lawful investigation based on location and emergency call solution. So coming back to public warning, we are a European leader of public warning system in Europe, offering solution to state public authorities and mobile carrier to complete and deploy a comprehensive solution from the top to the bottom. And we have last year won the vast majority of new public warning system introductions. And by end of this year, our solution will cover like 28% of the European population. So to start about the concrete presentation of our solution, threefold. So national solution for authorities. We will have an explanation of the FLR cases in France. And last, a presentation about our solution for local authorities, like municipalities, for alerting. So regarding national solution, as I said, we are covering the full stack of necessary applicative system, ranging from public authorities, mediation system, and solution for mobile carrier. So how do we differentiate and how do we consider public warning at Intersec? We think that for the tactical management of all event crisis, whatever the level of the danger and the situation is, it's really key to have really a visibility of how the message or carrier are effectively broadcasted through all the channel, and so to have feedback from all the broadcaster infrastructure, whatever there are MNOs or email system, siren, whatsoever, in order that the crisis manager have a vision of what's going on and how is it the message conveyed properly. So the performance of the infrastructure. Second, we consider that live spatial distribution of population can really enrich the vision, tactical vision, through the crisis. Second, we consider that combination, and as always, of cell broadcast, location-based SMS, and other channel are key because all the use cases are not achievable via only one of the communication channel, and for more resilience, it's better to add several of them. For instance, cell broadcast is very efficient for alert in a particular zone, but location-based SMS enable advanced use cases like sending alerts to a broad population, sending message and follow-up communication to people that have already moved from the place where the situation happened and to recontact them, or even to communicate to them, even if they have left the particular place for last maybe 5 minutes, and so for them to have the proper communication. So depending on the solution, we can combine and we offer to the public safety manager the capability to select what he deserves. So quick, I will not go into all the detail, but that's the typical architecture of public warning system. So at the up, you have one or several alert system manager, crisis manager, like GeoSafe, our solution. We can, of course, add more systems and integrate with pre-warning systems. And then we consider that a mediation layer is deeply necessary to combine all the alert issuer system and proxify properly to all necessary and implemented communication channel ranging from legacy system, siren, acoustic system, legacy display, MNOs, and also applications, new digital channel, email, opt-in channels, digital signage and display, and website and social media, of course. So all of them can be proxified through our GeoSafe hub solution. And we have a special solution for MNO, as I said, combining in one single platform location-based SMS, cell broadcast system, and computation and analytics for real-time monitoring of the situation from anonymous data. So we are a great leader in Europe. We are very proud of that. And our solutions are really comprehensive, address to sum up states and mobile carrier. Second, we extend the feature set on all levels with a broader spectrum of feature from the top layer to the mediation system and MNO-specific components. And last, our solution is future-proof to evolve to new inclusion of new IoT channels and Galileo that is coming soon in Europe. So now it's time to me to pass the microphone to Mr. Romain Moutard, who I'm really pleased to welcome here at the stair. Thank you, Romain.
Thank you, Mathieu. Good morning for all of you. My name is Romain Moutard, and I am the director of the FR-led program for the French Ministry of Interior. In this presentation, I would like to present you the approach and choices of the French government for its system. It will be officially launched before the June deadline, after several full-scale tests based on the European Domino 2022 exercise, which will take place in a few weeks' time, not far from Marseille. First of all, I would like to present to you in a few words the team setups since September 2020 to design the new system. We have brought together a representative of the various professions, civil protection as an example with Benoît Coutelin, or public safety engineer in IT, in the same group of study, together with the MNO and who partner, service provider Intersec. The specification of a modern system that meets our European obligation. This small cross-functional organization saves a lot of time in the design phase. We were able to look at different use cases of the system beyond the civil security risk for which we are responsible. We think that FR Alert will quickly show its interest for Amber or health alerts. We were nevertheless confronted with a singular difficulty linked to the fact that France is beautiful, but is present all around the world. We had to deal with 20 MNOs who were competent in the part of the ultramarine territory that was particularly exposed to natural risks. Fortunately, our partner Intersec had already established a link with most of them. The contractualization process was therefore longer than if we are able to limit ourselves to 3 or 4 MNOs, as is the case in most of EU member states. We have also of a multi-channel system that takes up the historical sirens vector or the Twitter account of the Ministry of the Interior. Of course, this strong belief that efficiency is based on the combination of channels with the advantage outlined by Mathieu or by Amélie. We have therefore chosen not to choose between CB or location-based SMS, and we are integrating them in a complementary approach. Finally, we hope to be able to quickly test the emergency warning service alongside the Stellar project with Benoît, Laurent, or Amélie in order to benefit from the contribution of satellites. Behind the technical consideration and work, the subject of authority that can trigger an alert is important to us. FR Alert is currently available for national and regional authorities due to network and security constraints. Nevertheless, municipal authorities must be able to give the go to an alert because it is a responsibility they have. In a concern of precocity and thus of efficiency, we must now think of the access to FR Alert platform to these local users. And in this respect, I let Charlotte describe to you the Intersec proposal to meet this need. I thank you for your attention, and I leave the floor to Charlotte.
Thank you, Romain. I'm very happy to be here with you today, and we've been talking about multi-channel, multi-use cases for a holistic approach. So I'd like to talk with you about multi-users and giving the opportunity to local authorities to use public warning system and solutions. So when you talk about opening a solution like this to local authorities, you need to take into account the different specificities of the new agents you open your solution to. So when it gets to the local authorities layer, you need to take into account that the smaller the territory is, the more users you're going to have. And therefore, you need to adjust the solution, the technology to that specific use. So when it comes to the scalability needed in terms of accesses and control and the right to reach, which has to be adjusted to the whole government on a vertical way, that's why we made the choice to open that solution on the cloud to make sure we can really have that wide openness, still the control and access to use the solution. This has to go through a dedicated portal, which is very flexible and easy to use, obviously, because when you deal with numbers, hundreds, thousands of users, using a very sensible solution to access all the population, you need to make sure it's easy to use and absolutely under control. This is why when it comes to a cloud hosting for the public sector, for such sensitive service, you want to make sure it's absolutely open. As we were saying, it's not only in working hours, Monday to Friday, you need to make sure the solution is available every day, 24/7, all year long. And also that in case of a failure, the redundancy you have, the geo-redundancy you have, implies that there will no breakdown of the service. So now we talk about the public alerting. So you have that in-zone capacity with the cell broadcast and the location-based SMS. Everybody is going to receive it when they're in the zone, and it's in a push mode. And to go a bit beyond, we want to introduce the fact of having a full end-to-end ability for the local authorities to take the wide use of the open data, because data means information, information leads to decision, and decision leads to action. And that action can be made with the access through an open data portal, which will lead to, beyond the alerting capacity, also to targeted and segmented information according to the needs and the location of the public address. This can also is used through the multi-channel. I think you all know about the importance of having multi-channel system for public alerting. So with Trella, what we offer is really a one-stop shop for the public information and the public communication and alerting. It's really a global access for open data, information, action, and decision, and we would be very, very happy. Sorry, with my hair. It's very happy to make you a demo at our stand in stand 37. I'll be happy to be joined by Mathieu, but Romain left. I thought he received an alert, maybe. He's on duty. And we'll be happy to answer your questions, if you have any.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Thank you.
Do we have any question?
Thank you very much for this very interesting presentation. I think it's an amazing project. So first of all, congratulations. We were talking in all the presentation about interoperability. In France, there is already some public warning system operated by mayors already in place. Do you intend to replace them or to be compliant with them or complementary? How do you want to proceed with them, with the system already in place?
What system do you refer to in terms of local?
For instance, the city of Orléans has already a subscription system in place with different procedures to warn people when there are floods oncoming, storms, or things like that. It's mainly based on inscriptions, but it's already in place, and they are working with that for years now. So, for instance, how do you complement what they have already done? Do you replace them? How do you interact with them?
We're very much in a proposition of complementarity between all the channels, and also, which is very important to us, the push and the pull mode in terms of alerting and informing the public. So it's really much about having the capacity to say, I'm interested in receiving this information. It might be vital So it's alerting. It might be important to me because it's a public information, because I'm a parent and I need to know everything about the school, but also maybe because I want, and I'm not in place, I want to keep being informed on another location. So it's really that you were talking about the holistic approach on the provider side, capacity to reach. We're here talking about the holistic access to all public information and alerting from the citizen side. So it's really about the complementarity of the different aspects.
Any other question? Okay.
Good.
Apparently,
Thank you.
So, I think we are just going to close this first session on public warning solutions. We are perfectly on time, so we can now enjoy coffee. Thank you for the presenter and the presentation. You're amazing.